Glienicke Bridge. West Berlin meets East Germany. June 11, 1985. 5:45 in the morning. Fog reaches the ankles. Cars wait on both sides. 29 people. 4 walk one way. 25 walk the other. The largest spy swap in Cold War history. And one of those 4 men walking out of the East is a Pole. 4 years earlier, the United States sentenced him to life in prison. Today, they're trading him away. Why? Because this man stole things from the Pentagon that no spy had ever touched before. Cold Files, File Number 1, Marian Zacharski. This is the story of a 4-year operation that cost the Pentagon $200 million, and one America has still not forgiven. November 1977, 26 years old, just stepped off a Pan Am flight. In his briefcase, a degree in foreign trade and a letter of recommendation from Polamco, Polish-American Machinery Corporation, a trading company selling industrial machines. Officially, a sales representative. Headquarters in Wooddale, Illinois. Zacharski's office in Los Angeles. To the world, a young, ambitious businessman from Eastern Europe. In reality, an officer of Department 1, Polish Foreign Intelligence, Department 1. Cover name, Pay. He moves into Cross Creek Village in Playa del Rey. Not a random choice. Pool, grill, evening neighbor gatherings. The young Pole isn't looking for friendship. He's looking for opportunity, because 15 miles from his balcony, in El Segundo, sits Hughes Aircraft Company, building the most advanced radars in the world. Radars that will see Soviet aircraft before they know they're being tracked. The shield protecting the West, Hughes Aircraft. Target number 1 for Polish intelligence in California. Zacharski has a list, 5, maybe 6 engineers, people with top secret access, people with problems. People who can be invited for a drink. Polish intelligence doesn't need genius moves. It needs patience. You wait until somebody slips. The first name on the list, William Holland Bell, 56 years old, divorced. A son from his first marriage just died. A new young wife who wants a life he can no longer afford. But Bell has something the others don't. Bell has a top-secret badge in the radar systems group. He works on the F-15 fire control system, the Patriot, AWACS, early radar work for the stealth bomber. July 1977, Bell moves in with his wife to Cross Creek Village, the apartment across from Zacharski's. Zacharski waits a week, doesn't approach, lets Bell come to him. It starts with tennis. Bell's a fan. Zacharski says he plays too. Inexperienced, wants to learn. This is how the biggest espionage operations begin, not with a secret signal. With a question, "You free Saturday?" First came friendship. Real, if you believe what Bell will say later in court. Zacharski was charming, smart, self-deprecating. Bell told him about the debts, about the wife who wanted vacations, about the son from his first marriage who'd just died. Zacharski listened. Never asked about work. The first ask came in the winter of '78. Calm. Casual. "I have a client in Poland. Needs a technical study on commercial radars. $1,500 for a white paper you can pull from a library. Can you help?" Bell takes it. $1,500 for 40 pages of public material. Zacharski shows Bell that he's paid for nothing. The transaction is safe. Everything is legal. The second ask came 3 months later. This time it wasn't a commercial study. This time it was a confidential level document. Bell signed an NDA. Took those documents from the Hughes building. Violated federal law. Amount $4,000. Bell says yes. This is the moment. The moment Bell stopped being just an engineer. The moment he became an agent of Polish intelligence. And there is no way back. Bell never told his wife, never told his son, never told anyone. From now on, Bell lives in 2 worlds. In one, a Hughes aircraft engineer, loyal American. In the other, a man with access to the Pentagon's biggest secrets, handing them to a Pole over drinks once a month. The exchanges move offshore. Innsbruck, Vienna, then Geneva, Zurich. Bell goes on vacation with his wife. Zacharski, on business. Most often they meet at Café Munding, an old Viennese coffeehouse in Innsbruck. Tourists, skiers. No one notices two men drinking coffee and exchanging a folder, a green folder. That color will become, in American case files, the symbol of the case. Bell always carried a green folder. After the exchange, Bell returns to his hotel, plays tourist, sightsees Innsbruck. Zacharski takes the train to Vienna. Vienna is the relay point to headquarters in Warsaw. The material goes to the attaché. The attaché sends it to MSW, and from Warsaw, it goes further. Because Polish intelligence, while officially serving Poland, exchanges with KGB and GRU. Whatever Bell hands to Zacharski lands on Soviet generals' desks within 3 weeks. What exactly? Here begins the scale that the Pentagon doesn't yet suspect. AN APG-63 radar, F-15 Eagle, full technical documentation, F-15 fire control system, early Patriot system documentation, the shield that, half a decade later, will stop Saddam's missiles over Israel. AWACS, the Flying Command Center, NATO's eyes over the Atlantic, and the most important, early documentation of thermal signature detection systems for an aircraft whose name was, at that moment, the Pentagon's biggest secret. F-117, stealth bomber, invisible to radar. In total, 4 years of operation. Material valued by the Pentagon's later estimates at $100 million to $1 billion in research and development costs. Some historians say $1 trillion. Nobody really counts. Soviet generals see Hughes radar specifications before they reach U.S. Air Force flight crews. And the engineers building those radars? They have no idea their work, before it ships to the U.S. Navy, already belongs to Moscow. Bell in total gets about $110,000 from Zacharski, in today's money, around $400,000, to break the shield protecting the United States. Bell's wife doesn't ask where the money's from. The checks come irregularly. Bell says, consulting, special projects. Zacharski, meanwhile, is being promoted. Polamco sells more machines than ever. No one in his company suspects most of those contracts are cover. In Warsaw, Operation Pay reports land on the minister's desk. Meanwhile, the FBI, which should have caught all this, is looking the other way. The services are focused on Soviet intelligence. Polish intelligence? Secondary. Nobody believes a country as economically weak as Poland could run an operation at this scale. And so Operation Pay runs for 4 years. 4 full years. Unnoticed. Until 1981. November of 1980, something starts in Warsaw that Polish intelligence didn't catch in time. An officer of Polish counterintelligence, Marian Zacharski, decides to defect, uses an official trip to Vienna. In Vienna, he doesn't come back, walks into the American embassy, tells them who he is, tells them what he knows. And he knows a lot. He knows Polish intelligence has 4 active officers in the U.S. He knows the most important runs trade cover in California. Cover name, Pay. March of 1981. FBI launches surveillance on Marian Zacharski. A van shows up outside Cross Creek Village. 2 weeks later, another, then a third. Zacharski suspects nothing. Leaves in the morning, returns in the evening, meets Bell by the pool. The FBI photographs everything, every meeting, every envelope exchange, every handshake. Bell suspects nothing either. With his wife, he watches the evening news, drinks a beer. Life feels normal. May. The FBI knocks on Bell's door. Bell has a choice: federal court, 30 years, or cooperate. Bell chooses to cooperate, within 2 hours, without a lawyer. From this moment, Bell is an FBI asset, wired. Everything he says to Zacharski from now on goes on tape. First recording, May 23rd. Bell tells Zacharski he needs more money. Zacharski nods. FBI agents listen live. Zacharski has no idea he's talking to a microphone. June 24th, 1981. Wooddale, Illinois. Polamco office, an ordinary Monday. Zacharski signs an invoice. The phone rings. Receptionist says he has visitors. Door opens. Two men in suits, FBI badges. Mr. Zacharski, we have a warrant. Espionage on behalf of a foreign power. Zacharski says one thing. Gentlemen, may I see the warrant? They have one. They take him. Destination, Baltimore. Federal detention, no phone privileges. The PRL embassy in Washington learns 6 hours later. They try to intervene. Too late. Zacharski was in the U.S. under commercial cover, not diplomatic. He has no immunity. Polish services made a fundamental error, and only now does it show. Zacharski sits in his cell, silent, says nothing. This is what sets him apart. Other Polish officers arrested at this same time cooperate, negotiate, try to save themselves. Zacharski says nothing. That's how he was trained. That's how he stays to the end. Next morning, front page Washington Post. Polish spy arrested in Illinois. Damage assessment unknown. The Pentagon panics, because when they start checking what Bell had access to, they realize they've lost everything. 15 radars must be partially redesigned. Patriot, reviewed. AWACS, reassessed. Stealth, algorithmic modifications. Cost estimate by the Pentagon, $300 million. In 1981 money, July 81. Trial, Federal Court for the District of Maryland. Zacharski represented by court-appointed counsel. Strategy, I'm innocent. No evidence. The strategy was wrong. The evidence filled 2 tables. Bell's wire recordings, FBI photographs, documents from Zacharski's apartment, bank box key with $12,000 cash and microfilms. Bell testifies against Zacharski. 4 days, 200 pages of transcript. Everything. The courtroom is filled with military attachés from 5 countries. NATO wants to see how Polish intelligence operates. The British, the Germans, the French. Everyone wants the method. December 14th, 1981. Judge Herbert Murray reads the verdict. Marian Zacharski, convicted of espionage on behalf of a foreign power, convicted of violating the Espionage Act of 1917. Sentence, life imprisonment. Life. The first such sentence for a foreign intelligence officer in the U.S. in 3 decades. Bell, 8 years, reduced for cooperation. Federal prison in New Mexico. Zacharski goes to Otisville Federal Prison, New York. Special unit. Single cell. The first weeks, surveillance. The FBI hopes Zacharski will start talking in isolation. He doesn't. He spends his days reading, learns Spanish, writes letters home, waits. And in Warsaw, on the Interior Minister's desk, sits a report. What now? 4 Polish intel operations in the U.S. are blown in 6 months. All due to Zacharski's defection. Poland needs a rescue, or its officers will start cooperating with the FBI. And on the other side of the ocean, Reagan's administration has its own calculation. Because the CIA has, in various forms, more than 20 people behind the curtain who fell into the hands of Stasi, KGB, SB, STB. Some are dead. Others wait. They could help, if they could come back. The East proposes, the West counters. Negotiations begin in '83. They run for 2 years, and Zacharski waits in Otisville, then transferred to Allenwood, Pennsylvania. In his Warsaw dossier, a note. Zacharski is priority, not to be left behind, not to be allowed to break. Zacharski writes home. Letters pass through censors. He never says anything interesting. 3 years pass. 4. Zacharski and Alan Wood counts the days. Early spring '85. In a neutral country, an agreement is signed. 4 from the east for 25 from the west. 4. Zacharski, Poland. Zehe, Stasi, East Germany. Kostadinov, Bulgarian intelligence. Michelson, KGB. 25, U.S., West German, British, Israeli citizens. All CIA-linked informants. Exchange location, Glienicke Bridge, Berlin. Border between West Berlin and Potsdam, East Germany. The bridge has seen this before. 1962. Francis Gary Powers, American U-2 pilot for Rudolf Abel, Soviet spy. The first Cold War swap. Now, the second. The largest in history. June 10, 1985. Allenwood, Pennsylvania. Zacharski wakes at 5. They tell him he's leaving prison. They don't tell him where. U.S. Marshal bus. 4 other prisoners inside. Zacharski recognizes Zehe, Stasi officer. They'd glimpsed each other in court. McGuire, Air Force, Base, New Jersey. Lockheed, C-141. Military transport, windowless flight. No questions. Hours later, they land at Tempelhof Base in West Berlin. Night, cool boulevards, a divided city. CIA hotel, single rooms. No one sleeps. Watched all night. Zacharski looks out the window. For the first time in 4 years, he sees Europe. At 4 in the morning, the staff reviews the plan. 40 times. The exchange must happen on time. No midstream negotiations, no incidents. 5:30, 4 cars, American escort, on to Königstrasse, Glienicke Bridge, the western end, their target, the eastern side, 25 people, escorted by Stasi and KGB. In the center of the bridge, a white line, the border between NATO and the Warsaw Pact. Cold War demarcation, 5:40. Both sides exit vehicles, check lists, check passports, check medical conditions. Zacharski, cleared. The 4 from the east, cleared. 25 from the west, cleared. 5:45. Signal. 4 figures begin walking from east to west. 25 from west to east. Zacharski walks. Coat. Eyes forward, never back. Step, step, wet asphalt, echo audible. At the center, they pass each other. 4 from the east with 25 from the west. No words, no touch, only glances. Zacharski crosses the white line. He's on the other side. He's free. He's home. A BMW waits on the eastern side. A Stasi agent opens the door. Zacharski gets in. The first words he hears in freedom, in German. Stasi. Welcome. You'll be in Warsaw by evening. East Berlin at 6 in the morning. Empty streets, monuments, Red Star plaques, Schönefeld, East Berlin Airport, lot aircraft waiting, Polish flag on the tail. First Polish words he hears. Welcome home, Colonel. Berlin to Warsaw flight, 50 minutes. Zacharski looks through the window. Through those 4 years, very little crying. Now, he can barely breathe. OKC. Intel officers from headquarters waiting. A Volga. No crowds. No festivities. Quiet. MSW headquarters. Rakovika Street. Full reports. Full congratulations. Promoted. The generals want to know everything. What did the CIA say? Whether they offered cooperation. Whether he broke. Zacharski talks for 6 hours. Full debrief. No omissions. Just as he was trained. Weeks later, promotion. Colonel Marian Zacharski, Deputy Director, Department 1, 34 years old. His own office, his own desk, with a view of Warsaw. U.S. operations continue. Bell sits in a New Mexico prison. Other officers in other postings. Polish intelligence rebuilds. Bell, 8 years. Released in 1990. Returns to a wife who left him in the meantime. Returns to an empty apartment. Works as a technician at an electronics shop. Dies in 2003. Bell paid for everything. Zacharski was promoted. 1989. The Berlin Wall falls. Poland elects a new government. Department 1 dissolved. New Polish services. The State Protection Office. Zacharski moves to business. 1995. Polish PM Waldemar Pawlak appoints Zacharski as advisor. Intelligence, foreign affairs, scandal, outcry. A man sentenced to life by the United States is now an advisor to the Polish government. Germany protests. The United States expresses concern. Zacharski says it briefly. I served Poland. Every intelligence officer serves his country. That's all. 2009. Publishes his autobiography. I am Zacharski. My life as a spy. In the book, his version, Bell was greedy. Zacharski was a tool of his state. The Pentagon overstated the damage. The exchange was inevitable. The FBI has a different version. Bell was a victim. Zacharski, a manipulator. The Pentagon did not overstate, and the exchange was the result of leverage. What did Zacharski actually steal? The shortest answer: technology worth $500 million in 80s money. Today, $4 billion. The radars Bell smuggled out of Hughes, they remain at the heart of NATO's air shield. Their algorithms were modified after the case. But the foundations, Moscow knew. Marian Zacharski is alive, gives interviews, writes articles, cited as an intelligence expert, controversial but respected, and in the FBI archive in Washington, his file remains open. Because under American law, Zacharski is still serving life. Were he ever to return to the U.S., he'd return to a cell. Zacharski knows this, and he has never returned. Glienicke Bridge today is a tourist attraction. Memorial plaques. Movies. Bridge of Spies by Steven Spielberg. Powers able. But about June 11, 1985, about 4 men walking east to west. The plaque says nothing, because that exchange, America would rather forget. And the man who tore $500 million of technology from them, they'd rather forget him even more. Because Zacharski didn't just win, he came home unpunished. And within a year was sitting in an intelligence office again. File number 1, Marian Zacharski. The Pole who bled the Pentagon and walked back across the bridge. That foggy morning in June 1985, he walked across the bridge. 4 years earlier, the United States sentenced him to life. That day, they gave him back because they had no choice. First step, second step, third. And in the middle of the bridge, a white line. A line that no longer exists on any map. A line that divided 2 worlds. And for him, it meant freedom. Zacharski will disappear into the eastern side. NATO and the Pentagon will never catch him again. Bell will die alone. The Pentagon will modify radar algorithms, spend $300 million on it. But the Soviets know the foundation, and the archives, only part of this story has been declassified. The rest waits. 50 years. 100. Because the truth about the Zacharski case, like the truth about many Cold War cases, lies somewhere in between what Zacharski wrote, what Bell signed, what the FBI published, and what still lies sealed in Moscow. File number 1, Marian Zacharski. Case closed. But in our archive, just the first. Polish services in the Cold War were involved in cases nobody wants to talk about today. Cases the Pentagon, the KGB, Stasi, would rather leave in the archive. Incoming episodes. Cases that changed history. Cases that were buried. Cases that, officially, never happened. Subscribe to Cold Files. The next file is already declassified. And Marian Zacharski's story? He's still alive. 73 years old. Lives in Poland. And every American article about him still begins with the same line. The Polish spy who got away. See you in the next file.